When my son suddenly disappeared, my husband didn't offer any support. Even at our final farewell to our son, he didn't shed a single tear.
He's always in my way. Because of him, I
no longer need my husband who glares at my son's portrait. My hands, trembling with anger, held our son's suicide note. Now, I will take revenge on my husband on behalf of my son. My name is Emily. I'm a 53-year-old part-time housewife. My husband and I were high school classmates. He wasn't very noticeable in class, and I was drawn to his plain and remarkable nature, which is how we started dating. After graduation, my husband went to college in New York, while I got a job as an office worker at a small construction company in our hometown. Long-distance relationships don't last.
The train fare is too expensive. It's your fault, Emily, for not going to college.
He complained all the time, and with my job getting busier, it only took about a year for our relationship to fizzle out naturally. So why did we get married? Because we ran into each other by chance after he graduated from college and returned home for his job. I felt relieved by his unchanged, unsophisticated demeanor. Looking back now, I realize it was a mistake to rush into marriage just before turning 30. He was stingy and always blamed others when something happened. Though our marriage was more of a stubborn bond, having one son and one daughter was a blessing. A new season of life arrived for our family. Our 23-year-old son brought home a lovely young woman.
Mom, I'm bringing a guest over this Sunday. Someone Dad knows.
What? I was surprised when I got the call. I never imagined he would bring his fiancée. My son Tyler had always been shy and quiet since childhood, not the type to approach women.
I always thought he was handsome and would be popular.
However, my daughter Anna, 2 years younger than him, noticed and blessed Tyler's engagement. My husband John and I were both restless that morning. Tyler said on the phone that you know the person he's bringing?
Huh. What's her name again?
John awkwardly responded to my question. I didn't ask that much. We would be introduced when they announced the engagement today. I didn't know either. I thought it might be a cashier from the store John frequents or someone from his workplace. Looking back, maybe I was too carefree. I was excited about the fact that our son was bringing a woman home for the first time. If only I had noticed John's uneasy demeanor.
My name is Rachel. I met Tyler through my friend. Nice to meet you.
Rachel, what a lovely name. She's too good for Tyler. I replied to the confident woman's introduction with a typical motherly remark. Honestly, I thought my son was the one who was too good for her. Like my husband, our son had gone to college in the city, then returned home and got his job at a food company. When he decided to rent an apartment close to his workplace, I was disappointed. But when he handed me a spare key and asked me to come over and cook his favorite dishes, I was thrilled. He's my pride and joy, always valuing me. Through my biased parental eyes, I saw Rachel as mismatched with my good-natured son.
Oh, Rachel, I think I might have met you at that restaurant during a business dinner.
John scratched the back of his head and said, as he seemed to remember her after hearing her introduction. As a sales manager, John often used that restaurant for client entertainment, So Rachel had remembered him as a regular customer. A middle-aged man who could be found anywhere, my husband. The only thing that probably stuck in Rachel's memory was his business card title.
Oh, I see. So that's how you knew about Dad. Rachel, you're beautiful. I think I'm not worthy of you.
That's not true. I love Tyler's face.
She blushed and wrapped her arm around Tyler's as he tried to be humble. I never raised my son to flirt in front of his parents, but I guess it's understandable since he had no experience with women. Getting married at 23. It seemed a bit early for my son, who was just in his second year as a working adult. But if they felt happy, I truly wanted to bless their union. At that moment, I didn't notice the flames of jealousy burning in my husband's eyes, something I now regret. 6 months after their wedding went smoothly, barely having time to relax after the weight of the wedding was lifted, I found myself busy with part-time work and tidying up my house. Although they initially planned to live alone in an apartment, Tyler changed his mind during their honeymoon and wanted to live with us. Did Rachel agree to live with us?
Of course, Rachel lost her mom when she was young, and she wants you to teach her things.
Oh, I see. I was hesitant about welcoming a newlywed couple into our 20-year-old house, but it was Tyler's strong wish. I couldn't just lament about the extra work.
I'd love to live together again, but feel free to use my room too.
My daughter Anna, who had just graduated from college, rented an apartment nearby to help out the newlyweds. After discussing with John, we decided to renovate the kitchen, bathroom, and toilet so the newlyweds could use them comfortably.
Mom, thank you. It feels like a new house. You even renovated it for us.
Moving day. While carrying in the luggage, Tyler spoke with sparkling eyes. Your new bed is a wedding gift from Dad.
Thanks, Dad.
As parents, it's the least we could do. Rachel, do you like the mattress?
My husband squinted with delight at his daughter-in-law, happily jumping on the bed.
We'll pay back the renovation costs when we can.
What? Don't be cocky. We don't expect repayment from you with your small income.
Though he was all smiles with Rachel, John was cold to our earnest Tyler. The constant work and lack of affection for the children had caused this. Not sure if he wanted to show his authority as a father, but after that day, John's attitude toward Tyler became arrogant.
Don't they have any sense of propriety? Just because it's a day off doesn't mean they should sleep in.
It's fine. They're newlyweds. They want to spend time alone, I said with a smile, trying to calm John's anger. If my son had married 10 years later, we might have had the luxury to build a 2-family house. But this was sudden, and we couldn't manage that. Since the kitchen, toilet, and bathroom were shared with us, John's routine was disrupted, and he was irritated. I'll leave their breakfast in the fridge. I'm off to my part-time job. Sale days needed all hands on deck. I hurriedly took off my apron while checking the time.
What about our lunch?
Huh? I had hoped for a have a good day from him. His childish comment, still thinking only of himself, left me feeling uneasy. I've made your lunch too. It's in the fridge. Tyler said they're eating out.
None of them understand. How do they think I can eat alone? I'm going to the casino for a change of pace.
Throwing the newspaper he was reading onto the couch, John grabbed his jacket roughly and left the room. I'm sorry, honey. I really can't take the day off today. I wonder if my voice reached his back. Even if it didn't, that's fine. I don't expect anything from my husband, who gets paranoid and feels neglected. Oh, marriage really is a series of endurance tests.
Mom, it's been a while. Dad seemed grumpy. Did something happen?
I turned around to the voice behind me and saw Anna standing there. Oh, Anna, your dad is just having one of his usual tantrums, acting like a child at his age.
No way. I can't stand that about him.
True, but we should still be grateful he's provided for the family all these years, right?
Yeah, I guess. It'd be better if he wasn't so bossy, though. I can't stand his grumpy face.
Remember how your drawings of Dad always had him looking angry? Haha. A daughter really is a treasure. Talking about old times with her made my grievances about John shrink away. You seem to be doing well, Anna. I have to head to my part-time job now. I'll be back by evening.
Yeah, but I can't wait until evening. I came by to talk to Tyler about something.
Oh, I see. Tyler and Rachel are probably still sleeping upstairs.
Got it. Those two are always so lovey-dovey. It's almost too much.
Anna laughed while looking up at the living room ceiling. But her eyes weren't laughing. I sensed she was worried about something. I wish she had called ahead. I would have loved to make her favorite meal. With a heavy heart, I left for my part-time job. That evening, John didn't come home. He usually only plays slot machines for an hour at most. But the lunch I had prepared for him was still untouched in the fridge. As dinner time approached and he still hadn't called, I started to worry.
Mom, welcome back. You must be tired.
Whoa. I was surprised to hear Tyler's voice, thinking he wasn't home. Tyler, weren't you out with Rachel today?
Yeah, we were. But
He smiled weakly. He had seemed so happy and bright since getting married, but now he looked downcast. Did you two have a fight? They say married couples' quarrels are private matters. By the way, did Anna come by?
yeah, she did. We talked a bit.
Maybe she's met someone nice. Maybe she's thinking about marriage and needed to talk to Tyler. They've always been very close siblings. Whenever Anna fell and cried, Tyler would immediately pick her up and pat her head. I have countless lovely memories of them in the photo albums, enough to win a contest of brothers comforting sisters. I'll make dinner for you too. I found some good meat on sale today. Let's have steak.
Thanks, Mom. I don't think Rachel will be back in time for dinner, so let's just eat together, you and me.
Is that so? Tyler seemed to know neither his wife nor his dad would be back for dinner. It was the first time since they moved in that I'd have dinner alone with Tyler.
Mom, this is delicious. Thank you, as always.
Every time he spoke, Tyler expressed his gratitude. Hearing that warmed me to my core. It relieved my fatigue more than any expensive bath salts. Later that night, John finally came home. He was in a great mood, even humming a tune. What were you doing out so late?
It's none of your business.
His mood was good, but his attitude was still bad. Better to let sleeping dogs lie. I took great care not to mention John's messy, thinning hair.
Where's Tyler? Is he already asleep?
Well, yes, probably. Normally, he would ask about both Tyler and Rachel, but the fact that he only asked about Tyler felt strange. You know, I had dinner with Tyler tonight, just the two of us. He was such a picky eater as a child, but tonight he finished a huge steak.
What? You two had a feast without me? Whose money do you think you're spending?
I saved some for you. It's your fault for not coming home.
There you go, talking back again. If you were younger and quieter, I wouldn't have done what I did.
What? What did you do? Realizing he had slipped, my husband clamped his mouth shut. Could it be debt? Or worse, embezzlement from his company? There was a reason for my hasty assumptions. John had a high income for someone in his 50s, and given his appearance, I was certain he had no immoral relationships with women.
Dad, you're home early.
Tyler's voice cut through the tension between us.
Oh, Tyler, you startled me.
Dad, we need to talk.
Tyler looked troubled. I assumed Rachel wanted to end the cohabitation and that Tyler was about to break the news. I'd like to hear it too.
Sorry, Mom. I need to last talk to Dad alone, man to man.
Hearing man to man, I held my tongue. When I looked at John, he seemed annoyed, yet somewhat defensive.
Fine. I'll go upstairs.
It was the first time Tyler had ever confronted his dad like this. Maybe he finally saw himself as an equal now that he was an adult. I felt relieved, but also uneasy about what he meant by last talk. A sense of foreboding filled the air. I watched their backs as they went upstairs, feeling anxious. I never found out what they talked about that night, but John's face was pale when he came back down. I pretended to be asleep to avoid making his mood worse. The next morning's breakfast felt like a funeral. John, Tyler, and Rachel ate in silence. I couldn't bring myself to ask when she came home, so I said, "Good morning, Rachel. Did you and Tyler have a fight yesterday?" I tried to sound cheerful.
Silence.
Don't ask unnecessary questions.
John snapped at me, shielding the silent Rachel.
I'm sorry, Mom.
Why are you apologizing, Tyler?
Stop saying unnecessary things.
Frustrated with John's yelling every time I spoke, I went to hang the laundry. Little did I know, those would be Tyler's final words. That evening, Tyler was gone. Tyler, what happened? Why? I received the call from the police and took a taxi to the hospital where Tyler was taken. It felt like I was in a dream, like I was watching a TV drama. I couldn't stop shaking in the taxi. I called John and Rachel's phones multiple times until I got to the hospital, but neither answered. When I contacted John's company, they told me he had taken 3 days of paid leave. The unexpected information made me so angry and panicked that I felt like I was going to throw up.
Mom, what happened to Tyler?
Anna had arrived at the hospital before me. When she saw me, she ran over with tear-swollen eyes. I don't know what's going on. I can't reach your dad or Rachel.
Unforgivable.
What? I held my trembling daughter, who was shaking with anger, and supported her as we faced the lifeless Tyler.
We did everything we could, but unfortunately,
According to the doctor, Tyler had suddenly run into the road, and was hit by an unavoidable car. The driver was still being questioned by the police, so the details were unclear, but they suspected Tyler had dashed out to save a kitten in the road.
There's not a scratch on his face.
Tyler, Tyler.
Tyler, Tyler.
Our cries echoed through the room, and I desperately prayed it was all a dream. After confirming it was my son, there was no time to grieve. I was overwhelmed with the hospital procedures, arranging his funeral, and contacting Tyler's workplace. I called Rachel and John hundreds of times throughout the day, but their phones were out of service range. I nearly fainted several times. With the help of Anna and my parents, I managed to get through the funeral preparations.
What's he doing?
That's when my dad, Tom, finally exploded with anger. Rachel's father looked for his daughter, who should be the chief mourner, but he complained that he couldn't reach her. I contacted John's company, and they said he took 3 days of paid leave. Maybe he's blocked my number.
Who goes on vacation at a time like this? Fine, I'll call him.
My dad called John. Apparently, John couldn't ignore his call. My dad's raised voice echoed through the wake.
You better be back by tomorrow.
John had gone to Alaska by plane, and he was with Rachel. I didn't hear a word about them traveling together. Was he lonely eating lunch alone? Was it because Tyler and I had a nice dinner? Even if it was to spite me, going on a trip with his daughter-in-law was incredibly childish. I was too shocked to say anything and could only curse Tyler's bad luck on the day of the accident. On the day of the funeral, Rachel and John showed up, their faces full of displeasure.
He's always in my way. Because of him, I'm unhappy. He took everything from me. I just took it back.
John glared at Tyler's portrait.
We were supposed to have a nice salmon dinner. Just the two of us.
Are you even a father?
My dad's booming voice silenced John. Rachel hid behind him, intimidated by my dad's anger. In that moment, the unease I had been feeling finally made sense. If she were truly his wife, wouldn't she be crying and wailing over Tyler's body? Why was the supposedly loving new bride seeking comfort from my balding husband?
Rachel, it's going to be all right.
What?
Huh?
No one understood what he meant by all right, and the attendees all looked puzzled. As the funeral began, they both covered their eyes with handkerchiefs and started crying.
Tyler, why did you leave me? How am I supposed to live without you?
Tyler, call me Dad one more time. Tyler.
Their exaggerated crying seemed designed to elicit sympathy from the attendees. But I saw it. I saw them exchange a smile through their tears. Were they planning something? I wanted to confront them then and there, but I held back. This was my precious son's farewell. As the funeral neared its end, it was time to read Tyler's letter.
He left a letter?
It's Tyler's last words. I only found out about it yesterday. Right. The letter was sent from Tyler to Anna. She hadn't opened it, thinking it was meant for me. Naturally, I read it as soon as it was handed to me. It made my blood boil.
What does it say?
Don't rush. I'll share Tyler's thoughts with everyone now. My hands trembled with rage as I held Tyler's letter. Now, I would seek revenge for my son against my husband, I decided to read the letter myself and stood before the microphone. The first part of the letter would be impossible to read without tears, but it was Tyler's testament to his 23 years of life. With Anna supporting me, I took a deep breath and began to read. The letter started with words of gratitude to his friends, grandparents, mentors, bosses, and colleagues. Then came words of love and thanks to his beloved sister, Anna, saying he would always be watching over her. To me, he expressed his thanks for giving birth to him, and apologies for worrying me. It's okay to worry your parents. You don't have to apologize. Remembering his final words, my heart ached with the desire to hold him tight one last time. I could hear sobs from the attendees. At the same time, whispers of confusion spread. There were no words for his dad or his wife. And why would there be a will if he died in an accident?
Could it be that Tyler?
My mom, Mary, voiced the question on everyone's mind. Could he have taken his own life? Honestly, I didn't know. Saying I don't know so easily makes me a failed mother. I held back my tears, bit my lip, and continued reading the letter.
To Dad, thank you for taking care of me for 23 years.
John's face brightened instantly as he glared at our son's portrait. He wanted to appear as a good father in front of the relatives. But that wasn't going to happen.
I found out about you and Rachel. I married her knowing it was before she and I met, but finding out it continued shocked me.
The room had expected more words of gratitude. The attendees began to murmur. Everyone's eyes were now on John and Rachel. Rachel seemed to sense something and turned pale.
I understand now why Rachel wanted to live with my parents during the honeymoon.
She must have been sweating coldly. Rachel clutched her handkerchief, trembling.
The big bed you gave us as a wedding gift, Dad, was for you and Rachel.
Stop it. Please, don't read anymore.
Rachel tried to snatch the letter from my hand, but her father, Thomas, grabbed her firmly.
Shame on you. I didn't raise you to be like this.
Holding her by the neck, Thomas restrained her as she cried.
Are you saying I had an affair with Rachel? Where's the proof? Plenty of fathers-in-law and daughters-in-law go out together.
John shouted, trying to brazen it out.
I have proof. A friend from my college told me about you too.
What?
It's a small world. The friend's house, where you used to go for business dinners, is the restaurant where Rachel worked. The owner's kid knows Rachel. She was the one who introduced her to Tyler.
Damn it.
Dad and Rachel weren't just eating there. They were kissing too.
What? Don't be ridiculous.
I was torn about whether to tell Tyler, but I never imagined it would come to this.
Anna, who had been speaking strongly, began to cry. Even if Anna hadn't revealed the truth, Tyler would have found out about their relationship eventually. I decided to read the rest of the letter.
Anna told me, but I had already suspected. Anna, don't blame yourself. Can you expose Dad on my behalf? Please tell everyone.
Hearing those words, Anna collapsed.
You're the worst.
Scum. Heartless.
Voices condemning John rained down, and he too collapsed. For the final blow, I continued reading Tyler's letter.
The father I once knew is gone. I'm grateful you put me through college, but I can't call someone who strayed from the right path my parent. My only true parent is Mom, Dad, and Rachel. The guilt for hurting my precious mom and Anna is heavy. Please leave our home immediately. Mom, I'm sorry for being such a son. I wish I could have eaten more of your cooking. Mom, I'm sorry. Thank you.
My face was a mess of tears by the time I finished reading. Tyler, my sweet son and first child, a kind of Anna's big brother, my treasure. Despite being the one who suffered the most, you were worried about me and Anna. I will never forgive you too. I shouted at John and Rachel with all the force I could muster. After the funeral, I divorced John.
I was jealous. He looked better, was smarter, and even married Rachel, who I liked. Because of him,
He kept mumbling, but quieted down when I demanded a hefty alimony. I don't need such a childish husband. My son cut the toxic bond for me. I kicked John out of the house. Yes, along with that big bed. I didn't want it. What happened to my daughter-in-law after that? When she went crying to her parents, her father firmly told her, "I disown you." With no other choice, she rented an apartment, but she's too ashamed to step outside. She'll have to work to survive, though. Let her live in fear of the neighbors' eyes for the rest of her life. She might as well rot away with John for all I care. As for John, some of his colleagues were at the funeral and word spread about his despicable behavior. He was shunned by the female employees and eventually quit because he couldn't bear the shame. He deserves it. Let him suffer for all the pain he caused our son. Anna and I started our new life. She decided to move back home to help me out since living alone on a part-time job was tough.
After I graduate from college, I want to live with you, Mom, and Tyler will be here too.
The living room is filled with photos of Tyler and Anna together. In the photos, Tyler is smiling kindly, patting his sister's head. 5 years later, Anna got married and stayed with me. She recently gave birth to her baby boy.
No matter what happens, I'll cherish this child.
She's fully embraced her role as a mother.
Look, he smiled. He looks just like Tyler when he was a baby.
Yes, the eyes are very similar. I squinted at a photo of Tyler as a baby. Then, as I gently potted my son's picture, I whispered, "I miss you, Tyler."
Mom, I'm always with you.
It felt like I heard his voice, and I wiped away a tear.